Welcome to We Are Listening, the podcast where we bridge the gaps between wellness seekers and wellness providers. I'm your host, Pulkit Garg, the founder of Aanya Wellness. And in today's episode, we are gonna get into the fascinating realm of biography work. Let's get to know Sangita ji, a biography work trainer and coach hailing from Bangalore. She is a passionate advocate for self development training, relationship coaching, and the transformative power of biography work. With expertise spanning across education, corporate, and government sector, she has dedicated her life to helping individuals navigate the complexities of their experiences and become co-creators of their future. Welcome, Sangita ji, on our podcast.
Thank you very much, Pulkit. It's a pleasure to be here. Very exciting too.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to learn about biography work, and that's where my first question comes in. That studies have shown the reflective practices in biography work have a profound impact on mental health and the overall well-being. So my first question to you is,
Right.
what is biography work, and the continuity to that? How does biography work serve as a roadmap for individuals to understand and reshape their life stories?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to give an image of the river of our life. So how would it be to step out of the river of your life, sit on the banks for a bit to contemplate on the river so far, its flow, the currents, other rivers or elements that contributed to this river, the tributaries, landscapes around, and to envision the rest of the river in awareness, in complete awareness. So this is what biography work, which is also known as life story work, it endeavors to facilitate looking at one's life story objectively as an observer, so as a witness, becoming aware of who one really is, and using that learning and awareness to actively co-create the future ahead. So it is, so some people have this question, why would I want to revisit my past? It cannot be changed, right? Or there might be some challenging times when I would feel a lot of pain, trauma. So why would I want to revisit it? So biography work helps to look at those events from a distance and as a witness, as a third person. And this is to a great extent healing, because now when you're looking at it, when you're not enmeshed, you're not part of the river, but you have stepped onto the banks and you're looking at it, then there are a lot of healing aspects to it. So I think that is why we call biography work as a healing work or transformative process. So yeah, I think something that could be very, very connected to emotional health, mental health of people. Yeah, this is where biography work comes in very, very handy. Yeah.
Amazing. That's something really deep. And, talking about depth, it's important that we also understand the roots of biography work, from where did it actually originated. And the research I was doing, it showed that it originated from anthroposophy, where biography work has evolved into a therapeutic approach, and which is now being used
Right.
globally. Can you also, you
Yes.
mentioned that it's important to help understand and reshape the future. So, how
Right.
understanding one's personal history through biography work fosters a deeper connection between the past, present, and future?
So yeah, we call it looking at your past and then integrating it with your present and your future. So it's like when you are looking at who you are today as a cumulative effect of your past, and all the events that happened, all the encounters that you had, then it's almost like you're getting a more well-rounded understanding of who you are, what are the patterns you carry, how do you respond in certain situations, what is it that really will make you fulfilled, what is it that you are doing because the people around you ask this of you, but something that is not really fulfilling for you. So getting an understanding of all those aspects helps you to become more in charge of how you are going to be in the future, or even in the present. Certain actions, decisions that you take, you are taking it from a fuller understanding of who you are, rather than what is expected of you, or what is demanded, or what is societal norms. conditioning, whatever. So it seems more like a well-rounded decision and very fulfilling when you go into that. So I think when one walks, the path that whatever one is walking in life with that kind of understanding of the self, then it's more powerful, it's more empowering, and it's also very joyful because you're doing what you feel, you should be doing, or what you love doing, what you're passionate about doing. So, yeah, I think it's a beautiful way to look at what you want to do in the future. And that's why I like to call co-creating your future. It's like, yes, things happen, destiny plays a role, people play a role, all that is there, but at least the free will part of what you need to do or what who you should be is something that you are doing with a little bit of more awareness. I hope that answers your question, Pulkit.
No, totally, it does answer my question. And building onto it, in biography work, there is a lot of exercise that goes behind examining the pivotal, life events that are there. Can you
Yes.
one touch upon what sort of, important life events are we looking at? Are we talking about the wins, or we also considering the losses over here?
Yeah. Who I am today, like I said earlier, it's a cumulative effect of multiple things, right? My nurturing, the environment around him, the people I was surrounded by, the encounters I've had, the experiences. Now, whether you look at them as positive or you look at them as challenging, right? That also depends on the perspectives. So, biography work helps you, if the first thing that biography work does is looking at each human being holistically. It's not like, just the body, right? The experiences that we carry, what am I feeling about it, what are my emotions around it, and then this is being mapped against the archetype of development of human consciousness. So, like, one example I'll give you, we all know now that teenagers, they're completely in their feeling realm, right? And this is a archetypical development of the teenage years. Now, if I know about this archetype of the development, then, as let's say I'm a parent of a teenager, when something like this is happening with my child, then I'm able to see it as something which is normative rather than panicking or getting anxious. And because I understand that this is the development and these are the things that are happening, then I am more prepared to deal with it. Right. So, similarly, in our life stories, if we are coming across certain challenges that we have faced, there is no doubt that we would have gone through a lot of pain, anger, and all the challenging emotions, negative emotions that we would have experienced. And at that point, we would have asked the question, uh, why? Why is this happening to me? But when we look, back on our stories, we are, and from a distance, we are able to see that this particular incident at that point, which was extremely challenging, how it has impacted who I am today and how it has built up strength. So, like when we want to build a certain muscle, we work against resistance, right? So, when these challenges have come up in life, how they have contributed to some kind of growth in me as an individual. So I think the biography work, if done well, if it is a guided biography work, it's not just you go into your past, look at all the incidents, and just come to an understanding, but you do it with somebody who's trained to also throw light on various perspectives of the human being. Then I think we are able to see that the growth or the development that's happened in the human being because of not just the positive experiences or encounters, but also challenging encounters.
Amazing. So before I get into my next question, I would like to share my own experience. I'm not sure if it's exactly biography work, but when I was first exposed
Mm-hmm.
to a similar sort of a concept, it was called lifeline exercise. And in that
Mm-hmm.
particular
Yeah.
lifeline exercise, what we did was we were asked to share the stories, like our life stories, with the highs and lows
Mm-hmm.
since our birth, basically. And
Yeah.
it was done on the world's longest entrepreneurial train journey called Jagriti Yatra. And that was the very first
Mhm.
exercise all the 500 aspiring entrepreneurs were made to do amongst their respective groups.
Mhm.
And the
Right.
bond that was built after everybody, shared their lifeline stories. The
Mhm.
diversity in Jagriti Yatra is pretty, wide. We have people coming from all walks of life, the richest to the, people coming from tier 4, tier 5 cities as well. So the bonds that developed between
Yeah.
people, it was really tremendous. And so building onto this, one is this a similar thing that we look at when we're doing biography work?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So what you described was map. What I said was this. Mapping your life journey, right, from birth until where you are today. You are putting down significant incidents that happened, encounters that you had, right? So biography work goes a little more than that in terms of it is also trying to map this with what is the archetypical development of a human being. So this is my life story, and then I'm also mapping it against what is it that is supposed to happen, right? So it might not be, so there are very, very significant years as per the archetype, like 3 years. 3 years, almost the second and third year is when the child realizes that I'm separate from my mother, right, or my primary caregiver, and the child starts using the words I. Until then, when, if let's take my case, I would have said Sangita wants water, Sangita wants to do this, and then suddenly in the second and third year, the child starts saying I want this, I want that, right? So there are multiple significant years where the developmental phase is quite, a very strong. It's like almost like, okay, flowing very gently, and then at certain points, it is extremely significantly intense. And there are things that are changing in the human being, whether it is physically or on an internal level, whether we call it the soul level or the experiencing level. And so one example I want to give you is of this mapping is, we know now from the archetype that around, 45 to 55, menopause sets in, right? So this is something now that people are starting to talk about,
Mhm.
right? So the women who are experiencing this, they are now not feeling alone. They feel, oh, okay, this is a universal phenomenon. This is not something that is, yes, I do experience it, I do suffer, or I have all the symptoms. However, I'm not going through anxiety as to, oh my God, what is happening to me? I'm seriously ill, something is wrong with me. Why is that? Because I have an archetype to connect it to map it to, that I know that this is something that happens during those years. So biography work gives that archetype of human development. What are the various changes, transformations that are happening on the outside and in the inside? Another example case in point is midlife crisis, right? Some people who are very, very happy in their corporate jobs or whatever jobs they're doing suddenly start feeling this sense of discontent. And if people outside will say, what's wrong with you? Why are you feeling this discontent? You have a great job, you have a house, you have a great family. What is wrong? Now, what has shifted is not the outside, but something inside has shifted, right? The development has happened from the soul level, and the person feels, is this all? I want something more, right? So you hear, I'm sure you have heard of so many people who have, at the peak of their careers, just shifted to something more which they feel is more fulfilling or meaningful, right? So biography work helps us to look at, through that angle also. It's not just my life story, but how am I fitting in the bigger scheme of things?
Amazing. Can biography help individuals evolve on their emotional landscape or emotional intelligence? That's one question. And the second question I would like to understand on this is, can a different individual understand the emotional being of a person by doing the biography work for someone else?
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question because the first point of change, of course, lies with me, right? When I do biography work or any self-developmental work, then, I like to say that I go into selfie mode, right? Like it's always the camera is capturing outside, outside, outside. And then when I go into selfie mode, I'm able to see myself in the camera or in the picture. And what happens is, I'm then, because again I'm witnessing the photograph, or I'm witnessing what's being shown to me in the picture. I start, that first step of awareness comes in. And then if you go further on the journey, you said the emotional self, right? So there is something called temperaments, in biography, which we do uh, relate to the normally spoken about personalities, right? If I'm able to see that in these situations, this is how I respond, right? First, I'm able to see how am I responding in various situations in my life, in various spaces of my life, in various relationships in my life. Then second, the step is this appropriate right now? Is this something that is helping me in this relationship? Is this something that is helping me in this, let's say, professional space? And if yes, then okay, I work with it. If not, then do I want to shift? Do I want to change? So the power lies with me to decide, one, to become aware, and then to say, I want to change this or transform this. Because I feel that, let's say if I have a relationship with Pulkit, a working relationship, and I feel that, oh, this is, how I'm responding is not appropriate, then once that comes to my awareness, I start working on it, right? So now, this is something that has come from me, the awareness. However, the moment I start taking action, my relationship with the outside also shifts, right? Because I'm a stakeholder in a every relationship that I have, whether it's personal, social, professional. So when I have come to this understanding that I want to shift and I start shifting, then, at various levels, it's like a ripple effect, it's moving, expanding from me to my closest, those who are closest to me, to then slow, little more further away, and then professional, and then maybe my community or society or the world as a large. So definitely that, yeah, it definitely helps with all those aspects, not just the individual.
Amazing. So, evolving onto this, why don't we also talk about how biography work can help in a corporate setting, in a family, and at a global level for our leaders?
Yeah, sure. So like I was saying, right? Like when you spoke about this,
Jagat, yeah.
the exercise that was done,
Yep.
right? Yeah. So what happens is, one, when we are sharing our life stories, it's almost like we are showing our vulnerabilities to each other. And you even mentioned that they were coming from different spaces, right? But
Mhm.
we are able to see, though my life story is unique, we are all still very, 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 very connected,
Yep.
right? Each of us feels the pain, each of us feels joy, each of us, feels challenges in relationships or whatever. So that is the first step where, it's a huge, huge connect that you build to the people around you. Otherwise, it's always, I, me, and myself. Oh, I'm feeling this. Underwent this. Oh, this is happening to me. The moment you start doing this kind of work, and especially in a group setting, then it opens you out to the vulnerabilities, to the humanness of the people around you. And in the corporate world or any team setting, I wouldn't just say corporate, any team setting where there are a group of people working, when you understand that we are all different, we are all very similar, we are all different, then if we are coming together as a team, how do we tap into the strengths of each of us? How do we recognize that each of us is facing some challenges in certain areas? And okay, so let's say, I have a challenge with, let's say, talking about my work. And here comes Pulkit, who offers this platform and says, hey, Sangita, this is something I'm good at, right? So it's almost like we are supporting each other. So this is something that can happen in every team scenario. Even in corporates, let's say there are leaders who are, leading teams, who are delegating to their teams. And if they are able to understand this human, side of all the, employees, all the team members, then they are all able to, if the leader is really open to understanding what is it that each one can contribute to this, how can I work in a way that, whatever this person, needs from me. Whereas some might need a little bit of appreciation, there might be others who don't really need appreciation, they're okay to do their job and they do put in their best. So this understanding of the human nature, it's almost like understanding, psychological aspects of the people around you. So this, if this happens on corporate level, it happens in a community level, it happens on the global level, where we really recognize that all of us are different, and yet we can all support each other because we are all somewhere, connected and the same. Then I think it can be hugely healing for the planet as a whole.
Just one follow-up question, and we would be wrapping up our the first episode after this. How do we actually,
Yeah.
as an individual, overcome the emotional hesitations one might have when reaching out to their seniors or to their parents for doing this sort of an exercise?
I do recognize the challenges in this because people who are holding the space for others, like when you talk about, leaders, you talk about parents who are holding the space for other people, then it is important that those people be brought on board to undertake these, programs, because the child or the team members might be wanting, some kind of change, wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard. But now, if the other person who's in space of authority is not open to it, then, it's difficult. So exactly why I feel that, we should, all these kinds of program, not just biography work but self development programs, knowing yourself, should be brought to the, this should be the audience, people who are holding space for others. Like I said, parents, teachers, team leaders, HR personnel, all that. So it's difficult for a child to tell a parent, that of course now more and more children or young people, I feel, are, asking, demanding for this from, their parents or bosses or whatever. But I think the older order has to really experience these kinds of work and open up to this. Yeah.
Great. And any, small exercise that our listeners can do to understand what biography work can really, enable for them? Any small biography exercise that they can
Yeah.
do at their own pace?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So, like I spoke earlier about, very significant years in the, biography of a human being of our life, to just sit back, uh, look back at one incident, maybe post 16 years of age, which you felt was the turning point. Right now, it could have been something as simple as meeting a person, something as simple as having listened to a podcast, or something that somebody said, and how that impacted some significant decision for you in your life. To take that, and there should be a distance, right, between then and now, so that you can look back. You look back now from where you are today to look at how that has played out in your life, right? So, if we have the time, Pulkit, I'd invite you to do something like that right now. Like, can you talk about some incident in your life, right? Maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ago. That something small that happened at that point just seemed like just another decision to make. And today you are able to see where that has led to who you are today.
Why not? Why
Would
not?
you be able to do that?
Surely.
Yeah.
Again, building onto the experience of lifeline exercise at Jagriti Yatra. So I will just share
Hmm.
a little background
Yeah.
instead about me being on Yatra. So it
Yeah.
happened
Sure.
in the final year of my engineering, where my placement manager, we lost him during COVID, but he's the person who is responsible for me being here today, and I'm really thankful for him to him that he really gave me that last
Yeah.
push which got me on yatra. So the story I will just put in
Yeah.
very short. Like Deloitte was my
Yeah.
dream company. Getting into ITM University, now it's called North Cap University in Gurgaon. Deloitte was one of the best companies students at ITM could ever get placed to. And first year, say all our seniors were like, you have to get placed in Deloitte if you really want to make a career out of your life. So that was fed in our minds. Even to an extent, I reached where
Yeah.
I was at a place where I was doing my fourth entrepreneurial sprint during my engineering, and I left it in between. I scaled it down completely. Instead of taking it to a national level, I brought it down to just my university level, and I started preparing for my Deloitte
Yeah.
placement drive. Unfortunately, I really could not crack the GDPI round of Deloitte, but on that very same day, I
Mm-hmm.
received the selection email for Jagriti Yatra. So the day I received
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
rejection mail for Deloitte, I received the acceptance email from Jagriti. And I was like, ठीक है हो गया
Yeah.
selection. And I've been not really giving that level of importance, and that happiness, because
Right.
the dream that I had seen at that time was not fulfilled.
Mm, mm,
But now,
yeah.
moving on to 24th December 2014, sitting in TIS, even I remember the
Mm-hmm.
an exact place, exact seat I was sitting in that convention hall, Tata
Yes.
Institute of Social
Yes.
Sciences,
Yeah.
Tempur, Mumbai,
Yeah. Yeah.
and seeing
Mm,
and realizing that getting selected out of a whole big chunk of global participants, and me being one of those 500
mm,
participants who were on that being oriented for Jagriti Yatra on 24th December, that completely changed my
yeah.
perspective and made me more confident about my achievements in life, that
Mm,
it meant something to be
yeah.
selected for on this journey.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
today where I
Yeah.
am
So,
is
so,
all because of
yeah.
Jagriti.
Mm, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. So you see how at that point it could have been a disappointment, right? That
Yep.
I didn't get into the yeah.
Yes.
It is a negative, experience if you look at it in that manner. But now, when you're looking back in hindsight, you see how that particular incident has shaped who you are today,
Yes. Yes.
isn't it?
Totally.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think so. It sheds light when you look back. You are able to see it from a distance, and then you are able to see what else. Okay, at that point, I didn't get into Deloitte, but what else happened as a result of that,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that's wonderful. Lovely to
So
hear
thanks a
that.
lot, Sangita, for enabling this for our listeners and for me, getting me, a notch higher on my energy today. So listeners,
Yeah,
we would love to hear your experiences and your learnings from this. And if you'd like to share any anecdotes, like I just shared about from my life, we're more than happy to listen to you. And if you have any queries around biography work, please feel free to put in a comment or reach out to us over DM. And stay tuned for more enriching information with Sangita. Thank you.
thank you, Pulkit. Thank you so much.